Yes.
So, just real quick to kind of give some context, I was wondering, and I'm so glad that you are a regular here in the studio of The Touch, right?
Yes.
Wondering, as we're going on and we're living life in this season of pandemic, how are professionals doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're serving individuals, you're getting to hearts of matters, or are you? Because we can no longer do face-to-face, right? Well, we're halted. I shouldn't say no longer. We're halted right now in doing providing face-to-face service
Yes.
and interaction, that type of thing. So let's kind of reverse it a little bit. What are the issues that you and or your staff, in the area of mental health and therapy, how are you guys faring and how are you reaching your clientele?
Yeah, and I think Jill, are you here? I think Jill is on the line as well.
Yes, I'm here. Hello. Hi, Miss Jill. How's it going? Good. How are you? Good.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys.
So in terms of how are we doing there? I mean, we had a number of changes that we had to do as well, just like everybody else in the world. And so we switched everything to telehealth. And so, so we're seeing people online these days.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're not even in the office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so we had to find ways to actually get all of our paperwork electronic also, because we still have to have documentation. We still have to have paperwork and people to fill things out. And so we've been able to kind of navigate that as well to help people still have access to services.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting process because Dr. Brooks has been making some great changes and helping accommodate, all of the staff with the changes. She's been implementing all of the changes, and so we've been definitely rolling with it. But in the midst of all of the change, trying to support our clients as well.
Mm-hmm.
With all of that going on, a lot of adjustment all at one time.
Okay. And have you noticed, in the normal scheme of things, like what used to be the norm, you seeing, you're touching, you're able to hand a Kleenex to, that type of thing. How has your clientele received this new way of doing things?
Mm-hmm. It's been going well for most of my clients. I think some of them feel safe being at home.
Mm-hmm.
And not wanting to come into the office because they're staying, following the governor's orders and staying home, even though we are essential workers. However, some of my clients, they feel more comfortable being at home and not actually coming into the office.
Okay.
So it's been working. It's been working well for them. Some have to, of course, go into their car or go to a remote place because people are in the house and they need privacy. I do miss the face-to-face, like you said, having the Kleenex on the tables, but, in the office. However, I feel like they're responding well to it, to the telehealth process.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and because there are some people who'd rather not be in the same room. I get that. But, just oftentimes I was sitting and thinking about, what does the therapist do in this time? And do you feel effective? Let's just be real. Do you feel like you're making any headway?
So I think one thing to consider with that is being a mental health provider. While we allow clients to kind of lead the process, there is some guidance that happens as well. And so really, in a lot of ways, our clients respond the same way that we respond, or very similar, and they feed off of our energy. And so if we're okay with things, then we are more empowered. And if we're adjusting well, then we're more empowered to help them to do well with the transition also. And so, kind of to what you're saying, and with us having a different kind of responsibility. We have a responsibility ourselves to kind of hold it together, but then we also have a responsibility to hold it together so that our clients can hold it together, because this is really a time where people utilize their support system, and they look to their support system, and mental health providers, for a lot of people, are part of that. They look to us for guidance and look to us for direction on how to respond or to help them if they're not responding well. And so the great thing about it is that for clients that we already had on board, we have a good relationship with them. And so they just kind of roll with the punches and roll with the flow. And I think we did a great job of preparing people ahead of time as we began to see things unfolding, and letting them know that, hey, based on the way that things are going right now, this is the direction that we're headed in. This is what will likely happen and what we'll likely have to switch to in the near future. And so when it came down to, hey, we're on a stay-at-home order, nobody was surprised that we switched to telehealth. They were ready to roll with it.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things too that's been interesting too, but nice, is we're going through this crisis together, you know, with our clients, because this is all new for all of us, right? And it's impacting each of us in a different way. Okay. However, being able to kind of adjust together, because, and I know we talked about this, we were in the station before, like a lot of the coping mechanisms that I give my clients, I do myself. So during this time, you know, I've had to adjust working from home and making sure I have a structure set up for me, so I'm not just all work and just not taking care of me. Because when you're at home, you don't get away from it. Like in the office, you can kind of, you know, talk. I can step in Dr. Brooks' office, or I can, you know, go talk to a colleague and you can get up. But when you're at home, you're in that screen, you know, all the time. So just being intentional about putting some structure in place for myself as well.
And I think part of that too is also being okay with talking to clients about that, because it helps them to feel encouraged as well, because they know we're in the same situation. So being okay with sharing with them where you are at a particular given time, as long as you're in a good space with it. Now, if we don't want to be unloading on clients because we struggle with something, but but as we make progress with things, we want to let clients know, hey, this is something that I tried this week. You know, I never did it before, but hey, it worked out well. Maybe you can give that a try. You know,
definitely. So keeping the situation humanize yourselves as the professionals, and then the clients as well, you know, being professionals in their own situation, correct?
Yes. Because, you know, really the work that we've been doing with clients over the years is helping to give them tools and empower them to be able to make the positive change in their life that they want to see. And so this is an opportunity, as with anything, to see what are we really made of, and how are we going to flourish and continue to do well and continue to have a solid foundation even in the midst of what's going on. And so they can feel like, oh, you know what, I'm just going to have to pivot a little bit. Pivot is a word that's been really standing out for me. But how can I pivot during this situation so that I'm still okay?
Exactly. Yes.
Indeed. So we're humanizing, we're bracing, we're pivoting. I love it.
Yeah.
Dr. Brooks, give us a point 1 and 2.
Now, see, usually I had the point 1 and 2, but I was like, we gonna free flow it this time. But
and that's all right to free flow, you know, because, you know, some people who are on the outside of our individual professions looking in say, oh, they got it, they're all together. You know, they're not stressing, they're not worried, this change isn't anything, it won't be impactful for them. So, you know, let's tear down that assumption and just remind people that you're human.
Yes, we are. We are. We are. And and the word that I used was pivot. And pivoting is really about making adjustments in the moment as you're rolling. And if I can position myself to be okay to pivot, then I can make the best out of whatever the situation is that I'm in. And I think we talked about this just a tad the last time, was that we generally have this illusion of perceived control in situations that makes us think that we're controlling things that we're not in control of. And so when life shows up and it's something that we're truly not in control of, and life reminds you that you're not in control, then that's when we usually struggle majorly. And so it's the remembering
and
that.
With that, let's take a break.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
We'll be back in just a moment.
All righty.
Okay.
This is your station for today's best mix of R&B on 1560 at 9, 5 The Touch, WTOU and W238AL Portage.
All right, we are back, and we are having a conversation with Dr. Leatrice Brooks with Chosen PLLC, and you have to say your last name.
Oh, Chastain.
Jill Chastain.
Jill, or Therapist Jill, or Jill. What do I say? Miss Jill Chastain, everybody.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's me.
Okay, so being present definitely in the moment is key to anything we do, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
One of the things, too, along with that, I've been doing as well with my clients, as well as, like I said, we're going through this together, but on different levels. I'll make a list of all the things that are in your control, and then on the other side, make a list of things that are not in your control, and make an intentional commitment to focus on the things that are in your control. When things are feeling overwhelmed, and just, and it's something I do in my own life, because even though we're going through COVID, life is still happening. Things come up, cars break down, I had to get a new car, another car, just things, life happens. And just being, like Dr. Brooks was saying, being able to pivot and adjust, when things happen, and focusing on the things that are in our control, so that we're not spinning out of control trying to fix things that we can.
Right. Indeed. And so we can't, be the superheroes. We just have to do what we can do without driving our own selves crazy.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing? Okay.
Yeah. For me is, I mentioned the word pivot, and now granted, I am not the best when it comes to sports and basketball, but when I think about pivoting in basketball, generally, they have one foot on the ground and then they're moving according to what's coming at them in different directions, right? So they're just making the adjustments along the way, but they still have a one foot that is grounded. And so we can't lose sight of what our foundation is. We can't lose sight of everything will be okay. We just got to keep pivoting around our foundation. And eventually you'll make the basket. Eventually you'll get the goal, but we just got to keep pivoting and adjusting according to what comes up.
Okay, so that's point number 2. First one's being present in the moment. Second is
you're gonna make you some points.
She gonna get her points.
No taking. No taking. I will make. Okay, so present. You got present at number 1. You got pivot at number 2.
Number 2. Yeah.
Okay. So plan. We gonna put plan at number 3.
Okay. See.
And this is. Hey, and this is related to what Jill said in terms of we have to be intentional with what it is that we're doing. And so many times we're not thinking about what am I going to do today? What am I going to do tomorrow? How do I make the best out of this time? And so we have to have some sort of plan to get us through. And there's a balance between being prepared and being present and having a plan. Being present doesn't mean that you don't have a plan at all. It doesn't mean that I just get up every single day and I'm just going to be, well, whatever happens today is what happens today. No, I need a plan for today. And I also need a plan for tomorrow too. However, in the midst of planning, I just got to be ready to pivot if that's what happens. And that's what comes up. So it reminds me of how, you know, at the end of every week, I make a plan for the next week and what I'm going to do in terms of my work hours. And when I get to work on Monday, which is just in the next room or in this room that I'm physically sitting in right now, right? So when I get to work, I'm looking at my calendar. But in the midst of looking at my calendar that I planned last week, I have gotten 50 emails. Guess what? I got to pivot because I may have to make some adjustments to what I planned on doing because something showed up in my inbox that needs my attention. And so we have to keep doing that. We got to be present. We got to pivot. We got to plan. Yeah. Plan. Because it won't always be like this.
Make it through, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Just like
So we got a question that came in. It says, what recommendations might you have for new therapists or new to people who are new to private practice setting during this time?
So, and that's powerful because I'm glad that person asked the question. That was my next one. So thank you.
Was it? Hey.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
And so what do you do? How do you navigate?
So I guess my recommendations to a new therapist would be use your training, right? Now you've been trained to do some things, dig into the things that you've been trained to do, see what resources you have available from your training to be able to help you, but also don't be afraid to reach out to other people because you're not going to be able to make the right decisions in a vacuum. Yeah. You know, and so all of these decisions that I've had to make as a business owner, I've been getting a lot of emails and doing a lot of webinars and getting information from other people to help me to make the best decisions. And so unfortunately, too many times, especially even in private practice, everybody wants to be their own boss and everybody wants to be solo. And that doesn't work when you're working in a vacuum. You have to be okay with reaching out to other people. Exactly. So especially for someone that's new, stay connected and find somewhere to be connected with other people.
Yes. And that's something that I had to learn starting out too, reaching out for help and not suffering alone. And definitely self-care, taking care of yourself, because when you just starting out, you know, you put in your all into it, which you should, but it has to be that healthy balance too, and maintaining, like, you know, with caseload and the times that you're seeing clients, and that so it's not just like all day, anytime on the weekends, you know, just making sure there's some balance there as well. But definitely reaching out for help. Don't suffer alone. In it, and it's okay to ask for help. I had to learn that. I did, you know, that's something that I struggled with starting out as a new therapist as well. Really?
You know, and I think that goes to the point that you were making earlier, Dbl A, which is sometimes when it comes to being a professional, there's this illusion that you have to have all the answers yourself.
Yes.
You know, and that can put undue pressure on you to perform at a level that you're not equipped to be able to perform. And so one of the things that I tell myself is that I have business advisors and I meet with them regularly, and I'm connecting with other leaders so that I can stay informed, so that I'm not carrying a load that I don't have to carry by myself, that I'm always learning and making adjustments and figuring out what's the next best step and who can help me to get there, as opposed to me trying to do it all on my own, because that's when we really start to fail. And one of the things that I think has been great right now in our community is how you see people are showing up for each other, and people are coming up with ideas and resources and ways to just be supportive so that we can all get through this together. Because at the end of the day, that's what really matters, is working together with people and operating in community.
Indeed. You're absolutely right. So with that said, each of you in our last minute we have, share any last nuggets, any last words you want to communicate to our listeners.
Go ahead, Jill.
Okay, I would just want to say to people as we go through these changing times and these difficult, challenging situations, to really be intentional, be mindful of really focusing on the things that are in your control and not trying to fix everything. You know, especially spend time on things that you don't have any control over, but commit to focusing on the things that are in your control. And that can help lessen the intensity of if someone is struggling with anxiety and depression. That can help decrease those symptoms.
And
Thank you.
What I would say is, in addition to that, is make sure that you are reaching out for help. Do not go through this time alone. If you're having difficulties, I read a stat, I think it was yesterday, that said that the prescriptions for antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications and sleep medications has increased by 20% since this all started, which means people are having challenges. Reach out for help. Talk to someone about it. Do not get stuck in this illusion that when this is over, those things are going to go away. Once we get released from this stay-at-home order, it's going to go away. Not necessarily, because there's still going to be an adjustment period. So if you're having trouble, don't just be at home by yourself miserable or miserable on meds. Talk to someone about it. And that's really what mental health providers are here to do and what we're ready to do.
All right. That's very key and important. How can individuals get in touch with you, or is there a main line you would offer up, an 800 line you would offer up for mental health online services, or with your practice? How would they get connected?
Yeah, so our practice is Chosen P LLC, so that's our website. And then our phone number is 866-232-5389.
866-232
5389.
5389.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for this time, Dr. Brooks and Miss Jill Chastain. Being present in the moment, learning to pivot. One foot planted, and you can turn where you need to.
Yes.
And then the other thing that we shared, in prior sessions, it's okay to reschedule if something doesn't work out at that particular moment.
Yeah.
You can reschedule and not be ashamed or not be stressed out about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. It is what it is, right?
It is what it is until it's something else.
I love it. All right. Chosen PLLC, everyone, 1-866-232-5389. Don't be alone thinking you have to deal with things alone. If you need a conversation, you feel yourself not being centered or balanced,
yes,
feel free. You must reach out.
Yes.
Connect with somebody.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much, you guys. Have a wonderful Saturday.
You as well. Thank you.
All righty. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.